the Buhurt podcast with Alexander Rosenthal-Rashi and Josh Kenny. It's Reenactment time!
Yo, what up, my internet friends? Welcome to Not Another Buhurt podcast, episode 3, where we discuss the relationship between historical medieval reenactment and modern day Buhurt. My name is Bear Blackspear. You can always find me at youtube.com/Bear Blackspear, and I present to you my co-host Josh. Josh, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Bear? Going good. Big flex.
Big flex. All right, so first things first, we're coming at you with a bit of a technological upgrade. As you can see, we now got the fire pit going, blazing fire to keep us warm while we have all these great discussions. And like I said, today we're going to be discussing the relationship between historical reenactment and modern day Buhurt. You know, because we all know that Buhurt takes its source. It finds its source in medieval reenactment. So let's kick it off. Josh, what you got to say on the subject? Let's start her off.
Oh, so Buhurt does come from medieval reenactment. Buhurt was created out of the Eastern European medieval reenactment scene. When those guys said, "Hey, we want to do something that's a little harder and a little bit more competitive," so they kind of started back. I guess it was like 25 to 30 years ago, somewhere in there. Started slowly increasing the tempo and the aggression of their fighting, and it eventually morphed into what we call now Buhurt.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. We can trace the origins of Buhurt all the way back to Eastern European, probably more specifically Russian medieval reenactment, where they tried to not only reenact in terms of like a lifestyle setup, but they also tried to reenact the actual martial practice of competitively fighting rather than simply just redoing a battle as we see from our modern understandings of how people approach reenactment, which is generally like a reconstruction of either a lifestyle or a particular battle, and less so like the competitive engagement or the recreation of a competitive engagement. Sans a historical context, like just two armies meeting in a field and just throwing down. So definitely, I think that we've come a long way from those days, both in terms of safety equipment, but also in terms of the structure of the martial art and the discipline of Buhurt as a whole.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the basic tenets, from my understanding, having done a little bit of reenactment, medieval reenactment, and knowing quite a few people who do a variety of different medieval reenactment disciplines, from the people who were the progenitors of my local team, Le Dogue de Montréal. They were originally a medieval reenactment team, Les Routiers du Dogue. And their whole thing, they were less combat-oriented and more lifestyle-oriented. And the Buhurt team kind of spawned organically out of that team as kind of in the same way, where they wanted to develop more of a combative, competitive martial understanding of how people would really engage each other rather than simply doing mock battles or using mock weapons. They wanted to do something a little more intense, and they found that other people across the waters were doing Buhurt, or we're exploring Buhurt before it was called Buhurt. I don't know what to call it at that point, like a heavier form of medieval reenactment. And over here, at least in Montreal, it spawned the same way. But we also have a group that trains with us that does Viking reenactment, which has become really popular with groups like Jomsborg and Urwaz, I think the name is of the team that practices locally, Urwaz. So there's definitely still a common thread between various forms of historical reenactment and more modern disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, there's, from a I am getting started standpoint, I am getting started in this in being a medievalist that does medieval things. The starting point is pretty much the same. Figure out what part of the medieval world do you want to be part of, or do you want to study and recreate? For me, I like to fight. So Buhurt was where I gravitated to. I actually checked out HEMA before I ever checked out Buhurt, and I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't aggressive enough.
Well,
I
he
then
must.
checked out I
No,
then
please
checked out
continue.
the SCA, and it was the same thing. It wasn't aggressive enough. And then I just happened to run into online Robert Dionisio, who was like,
Shout out.
"Hey, you need to go talk to Greg Fabic in Maryland," and so I did, and the rest is history.
Well, that's it's very interesting that you mentioned medievalism as the umbrella hobby that really encapsulates all of the different forms, the different pursuits of medieval sword fighting and medieval lifestyle and reenactment and recreation. Because that's really like the best way to kind of like group all of the different pursuits together. Not to say that we're excluding LARP, but LARP tends to be on average more fantasy oriented and less like focused on historical accuracy or historicity is one of like the main tenets of the pursuit of being medieval. Um, so like definitely when we're looking at like the pinnacles, we would say of the hobby, we would see something like HEMA, Buhurt, SCA, fencing. You could still count fencing as like a historical or reenactment, not so much medieval, more Renaissance, but you could still see within
I mean,
that same
HEMA
kind of.
HEMA is more Renaissance.
Yeah, HEMA is also more I mean, depending on which manuals you're talking about, but even so, like there are very late medieval, if not early Renaissance
Right. Like
manuals
that's
when you're
what
talking about
I so
Fiore and Talhofer and
more
shit.
more Renaissance.
Yeah,
Even when you're talking about like harness fectin, you're talking about very
late.
articulated,
Yeah,
very late suits.
yeah.
So
Harnsfectin is
it
another one of those pinnacles. Jousting as well.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
jousting's
jousting.
awesome.
It's
Uh,
crazy. We have a contingent of jousters up here in
yeah,
Quebec as
yeah,
well.
yeah. One of my own team members,
Yep,
John Sebastian.
Jean
He's
Seb.
a pretty good jouster, from what I understand.
Hey man, that stuff is crazy. Every time I see
I,
jousting in front
I'm
of me,
not.
it always blows my mind. You want to talk about dedication to experiencing like
I'm not even gonna get
the
near a
actual
horse.
I know, right? Oh my god.
It's too
Oh my
much bigger
god.
than me. Like
They're so
I'm
big.
afraid of the big guys on kunyas, let alone a horse.
I know, bro. It's terrifying, especially how they just give no fucks. They just want to
And
destroy you.
their eyes
Oh my god.
look directly into your soul, and they're like, "I'm going to eat your soul."
I mean, you're like next level when you're thinking about horse armor. You know, setting your horse up with kit is like you're already at like
Yeah,
such a level of medieval pursuit and lifestyle. Like not only do you have to upkeep the horse, but now you have to upkeep the horse's armor.
right, right.
Like
Like
man,
I don't,
my
I don't have that kind of money.
man,
I
my
don't have,
kit, my
let
my
alone the horse.
my kit and Soleil's kit that already takes enough of my time. I can't imagine horse plus horse armor. Oh, dude, talk about having it like and just having to do servicing. Imagine having to handle the horse and train the horse so that it can function in that kind of a getup. That's a ton of work.
Yeah, yeah, that's too
What an
much for me.
experience.
I really think, based on the thoughts that are now in my head regarding jousting, that it is probably the top level of historical reenactment as far as
Yeah, it's up there.
investment of time and money, and
Yeah.
like minus those people in France who tried to build the castle. I
You
mean
want to talk if
that
you're
was
trying to
pretty
like
intense.
tier it, if you're trying to tier it up, you really got like jousting, Harnsfectin, and Buhurt are going to be like your top levels of where
Yeah,
you're
that's your
spending.
like your S tier.
Yeah, you're of where you're just losing your life savings and stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff
yeah.
forever. Although, see, it's a great point because now we're kind of touching on equipment and we're touching a little bit more on experience, and that's something that I find stands in stark contrast in between Buhurt and between a lot of the other pursuits. Is that Buhurt really has such a heavy focus on optimization of equipment because we've become so focused on being competitive and being like on the martial aspect is that we've kind of pushed aside the authenticity requirements or the authenticity aspect, not requirements, because we have several authenticity requirements, um, as we've previously discussed across other podcasts and other disciplines, other
So
mediums. But it's really more of a secondary or in some cases even tertiary aspect to the pursuit because many people who get into Buhurt don't really even have a drive to be medieval in the first place. They're more attracted to the combat sport for whatever reason, or
Because
the
it's cool to hit people with axes.
yeah, like the fantasy of sword fighting more so than the wanting to experience from
Yeah,
a like experience that whole like I'm a medieval knight fighting other medieval knights in a medieval tourney kind of a thing,
right,
right?
right, like
Ironically,
absolutely,
traveling to tourney being one of the most medievally things you can do, right?
right,
Yeah,
right, and
ironically.
getting lost in the airport.
Oh no, but see, that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the thing. Like some of the greatest, uh, like some of the greatest medieval stories are about going to tourney, or about coming back from
Right.
tourney, or about going
Well,
questing to go to do some kind of a martial exploit. So like the whole, traveling to tourney, super medieval.
one of the most medieval things I ever heard of happening regarding a tourney was in 2024 in Mexico when the local police were pulling people over and hassling them for money.
That's very medieval.
That's
That's
so
extremely,
medieval.
extremely medieval, super
How
medieval
many people traveling to a tournament got pulled up by the local sheriff and hassled for money?
for sure. A ton.
Probably
Because they're
millions, thousands,
well,
hundreds of thousands,
well,
millions. I don't know.
Well, because
But
generally the people competing in tournaments would be well off. So I don't know how much that would truly happen historically, because the people would be rather well off. But at the same time, you
right,
never know, because they'd be the perfect people to target, right?
right,
Perfect
right,
person to shake down.
or just like the peasantry who's traveling to town to watch the tournament, and they get to come into town, it's
That,
going to cost you 2 silver.
oh yeah, see, that to
If
me
you
is
don't
more
have it,
believable.
leave.
To use the facilities, you want to use the town bathhouse. I'll be a couple silver right there,
Right, like or copper or lead or whatever they used for
or
money
whatever.
back
Yeah,
then. Sixpence,
but
none the richer.
oh
Oh,
man. So I think I just had a technical glitch, so I'll have to cut that out. So in the event that there was a technical glitch, boo-doo, 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 boo-doo. All right, and we're back due to a minor technical glitch. We're back. Okay, so where were we? We
so
were talking about traveling
let's
to
get
tourney.
yeah, let's so traveling to tourney, right? Like most medieval thing ever.
It's one of the
Getting
most
pulled over
medieval
by
things you can do.
yeah, getting pulled over by the cops and hassled for money, right?
Absolutely.
Like they were on the way to IMCF Mexico, guys were getting pulled over, and on the way back, getting pulled over by the police and said, "Hey, give us $200, or you're going to jail."
Getting shaken
Right,
down by the police is
right,
is
or getting
always
chased.
historical.
And not even that. It's like they're bandits, right? That's just banditry right
It's
there.
just banditry.
It's just banditry. Those are road bandits. They are highwaymen,
Hey man, that's
right?
how it goes. It's like you're traveling in a strange land with your retinue, and you get pulled over by the local thugs and get shaken down for all you got. You know,
Right,
at
right.
least you guys got out unscathed, relatively
Well,
speaking.
I didn't go, but like
Well,
I'm like, I wasn't going to Mexico. Are you kidding? Some cops would see
same,
me and be like, "Yeah, $500."
same, in like Valley di Silencio or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go
Right?
to the,
Like, are you
the the
kidding me?
Valley of Silence. No, I am staying over here.
They
In,
see
in
my bald head and my
yeah.
red beard. They're like, "Gringo,
Not going
yeah,
in the
we're
Valley
gonna,
of Silence. You out of your mind? Yeah, I know,
yeah."
right? Oh my God.
Plus, I'm sunburned.
So, getting back to the comparison between the two. So, I mean, all of these events, gatherings, because as the scale, especially the scale of expenditure increases, the community gets smaller and smaller, which is something that we should be really thankful for, as we've seen like a burgeoning in the Buhurt community over the past few years. There's, especially in North America, there's so many teams, so much interest,
Yeah.
especially because of promotions from Buhurt International, especially AMMA. AMMA is getting it circulating. Everybody wants to get into this now because,
Hey,
you
the
know,
Armored League out of New York is doing great.
yeah, Armored League out of New York is doing great. IMCF is coming up, and they're starting to do a lot of promotion as well. I've seen that going around. There was recently a big tournament in France. I know there was PWR recently. I've seen like Russian and Chinese Buhurt circulating. So there's like a swell that's been going on in the past few years, and definitely it's something that we see in our community, is that there's more people interested, but I feel like there's less medievalism right? In the sense that you see fewer and fewer people who dress the part. You see fewer and fewer people who are concerned about having a kit that is particularly historical. We all kind of want to pass authenticity requirements and then kind of find as many anachronisms as we can to gain performance advantages. And that seems to stand in stark contrast to something like, the reenactment origins of Buhurt, which seek to not only, have some kind of like martial recreation, but also focus on the lifestyle aspect. What does it feel like to be medieval? Like
Well,
to dress the part, to like eat the part, live the part, camp the part. That's something that we don't really do very much, at least over here in North America.
so in North America, there's not a whole lot of medieval history that is available for us to go see and touch and look at directly.
A great point.
In Europe, there is.
That's a great point.
So what we get from medievalism is stuff like the TV show Night Fight, right? Which was not historically accurate. It
Well,
was
no.
fun, and I'm very glad I was part of it. But
Sick.
it was not historically accurate. But people take what was in that because they see it on the History Channel, or they take what they see in Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, or some other fantasy show like I don't know what was that with Sean Connery? First Night. First Night
Man.
with Richard Gere. Like I was like 14 when they came out, and I was like, their armor doesn't look like that. Nobody's gonna wear just one pauldron. That's
Don't get me
stupid.
started. Don't get me started
That's
on leather armor,
right.
man. Don't get me started on
But
leather armor.
but like at the same time, that's what the people get exposed to. So that's what they think is cool. They get
Absolutely.
exposed to like the Wheel of Time and the armor that gets described there, which is not described in a fashion that is
I
in any way useful to wear.
I
You'd
would
be
be
walking around
lying.
like a crab,
I would
right?
be
Like,
lying if when you said wheel, I didn't immediately think of the Wheel of Pain and just go all
the
the way
Wheel of
back to and just go all the way back to Conan and just
oh
like
man,
I was so sure you were making a
with the
Conan reference.
horned helmets
Ah,
and the swords with like extra things
dude,
sticking out of them and
if only.
it's still cool movie though, great movie,
Sick.
fantastic, right?
The
Like
secret of Steve Conan.
everybody's got fuzzy hats and
The secret. Man.
I still love the movie. The
Oh,
movie's great.
incredible.
I'm fantastic. I love it.
But you make a fantastic point. You make a fantastic point in that one of the main cultural differences between American or North American and European Buhurt, European in particular, is that they have a very direct tie to the history of the period, or like to the period itself, because not only are they they live at the place, they can fight at,
Right.
they can go see
They
the
can-
castles, they fight at the castles, they can see the armor, they live and breathe that history, whereas it's something that we
A lot of
see
them
and
probably
appreciate
have
from afar.
lived in castles.
Yeah.
Right? Like castles aren't that rare in Europe.
That's
People
that's
literally
true.
still live in castles,
That
and
is-
not just rich
that is true.
people.
No, that's true. And having been to Europe for Buhurt tournaments, I can definitely say that the vibe and the feel of the event is very different when you're fighting in front of castles, or when you're fighting along or when you're just present at some of these historical locations, when you go to see castles or you go to see the scenes of famous battles. It hits you in such a different way, and it's something that I've always found interesting that we never try to replicate, even partially, where we are. Like, their
Sure we
tournaments
do.
take
Sure, we
place in front of
absolutely do.
castles. Our tournaments take place inside arenas. Not putting down anybody who sets a tournament up in an arena. Thank you. I know it's expensive. It's a ton of work. I'm just saying that like the aesthetic is different, and the expectation for what people are doing and seeing and feeling is set differently. I'm not saying
So,
it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's just different.
we
The vibe is
absolutely
different.
want to have tournaments at historical sites. There's two problems with that. Is there's not a lot of historical sites in the United States that could match
Same in Canada.
a medievalist situation, and most of the historical sites that aren't going to allow Buhurt.
That's another great point, because people don't want us destroying their shit.
Right, like an exception was Winnikenny Castle in Massachusetts was allowing the Knights Hall to do fights outside of there. Is that a real medieval European castle? No, it's not. But it is built to resemble one. It is built to imitate one, and it looks great. It's fantastic. I don't know if you ever. I've never been there. I saw the pictures. It looks fantastic.
No, I
Um,
haven't.
so like we do want to do that kind of stuff, but we are culturally and geographically limited to what is available to us to do. And in Canada is the same way,
Yeah,
right?
region locking is legit for sure. And
Like
I
like
again,
there's a
I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not casting aspersions by just bringing this up. I'm just saying it's just something that it's another layer of distancing, because okay, you can't take an arena like the Ted Garrison arena that we use for Carnage and medieval that thing up. Like the cost to
it would be
benefit
extreme.
ratio. Yeah,
It
it's
would
like,
be an
okay,
extreme
we're
cost
all in
benefit
agreement.
ratio.
We're all in agreement that there's some shit that's just unreasonable, especially when you're trying to manage like very large events. Like you're limited by
Well,
location, you're limited by, so it's like, I'm not saying anybody's doing a bad job or
no,
that
no,
it's a
you're not
problem.
saying that, and I know you're not saying that. But you see, when we get into these discussions with the Europeans, they
Yes,
are
okay.
saying it.
That, I mean, okay, let's not like cast a wide net and say like the
Well,
Europeans, like
some
literally
Europeans,
every
not
person from
all
Europe
Europeans. Like
is like,
Danny George is awesome, right? Alexander Yost from who runs the German scene, he's a great dude. Like,
you
I'm
mentioned
not saying all the
two
Europeans.
people out of all the Europeans. You're like, these
No,
two are all right, but every other
no, no, no,
Europe.
no, 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 no. No. I'm saying the leaders. Because
The
Danny
leaders of
George is a
Europe,
leader,
bro,
and Alexander. But some of
calling
the
out the
others who
leaders of
I've
Europe
spoken
now.
to, who I'm not going to name individually because I don't remember their names, um, have said things like that about America. Like Americans don't understand medieval history. They don't want to do reenactment. Well, no, we don't want to do reenactment. We want to do Buhurt. We want to
Well,
fight people. I want to hit this guy with an axe.
is there
Right.
should there be because there is, but should there be more space for the historical aesthetic, the medieval aesthetic at events that we run? For
So
example,
so
the rules state, right? Just before we get into like direct comparisons of like sport versus not sport and stuff, just like top level, like the rules technically say that at like high level events, the only people who can like be around the list are people who are dressed in garb, like
and
medievally
and
clothing. So like,
for the most part at
should
Carnage that happened. For the most part at Carnage that happened.
but
It
should
didn't
it be
happen
like the norm?
completely.
But should it be like the norm? For
No,
example, like
absolutely not in the United States.
everybody's got their kit, right? But you also have like your soft kit, which is like your garb. So it's
No,
like you're like
absolutely.
not in armor, but you're like in the shit where the cameras and stuff can see you. Should you be wearing like a tunic and like a little belt, and like should you have like a dope ass little like medieval hat? Like,
Only for our largest conference event. Other so
because you see the marshals are always
the
like full swag, and
the
everybody's always like, whoa, the marshals look fucking dope. Like,
the
I wish
barrier to
I
entry
was a
is
marshal.
already high. Barrier to
uh,
entry is already high.
I find that to be a bit of a disingenuous talking
So
point.
at the conference level, yes. At the conference level, the high level conferences, which was Carnage this year, I agree. We should have some sort of higher level barrier to entry. But at your local like Buhurt Classic events, no,
I
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
like, okay, like there's a certain logic in saying like we want to make the sport, because fundamentally Buhurt is a sport first. We That's not a thing we're going to argue. Fundamentally, it's a sport first,
It
right?
is absolutely a sport
Yeah,
first.
it's a sport, it's a martial art first, and in order for the sport to grow, right, we have to make the sport accessible, because the
And that
basic barrier to entry is already so high. So like,
and that's what the Buhurt Classic events are for.
I'm not going to argue the notion of accessibility, because I'm a big believer in accessibility for the sport. Like, I love medieval history. I have a degree in medieval history. Like, I've been impassioned by it my whole life. Like, I love reading medieval history. I love reading medieval fiction. Like, I'm huge into medievalism. And I get that not everybody is, and some people are like, yo, I like sword fighting, I think being a knight in armor is cool and shit. Yeah, and that's kind of like, that's where it ends. Yeah, it's like, yo, I get to be like fucking, I'm Lancelot and let's go and smash people. Like, that's super cool. Like, it doesn't really have to go further than that. But should there be, I guess what I'm saying is, should there be a bit more of an intellectual relationship, a bit more of a cultural, community-wide passion for that aspect of medievalism within Buhurt? Is that something that, or does that make it, I guess, too inaccessible for people like the viewers or people coming in from the outside?
What does the majority want? Because the majority in the United States wants to be a sport. And when the majority,
Sure.
MC USA makes up roughly somewhere between 40 and 50% of the total members of Buhurt International. That is numbers that I have not verified, but have heard from.
I like good politicking. Leaders. Good politicking. I haven't verified these numbers. I'm gonna present them anyway, though.
Certain leaders have said somewhere between 40 and 50% of the total. And if you go to the Buhurt International website,
the man's on fire with his rhetoric.
Hold on, I'm not done. And if you go to the Buhurt International website, as of about 3 months ago, which is the last time I checked, the numbers bear out. If you search on, if you count up the users and where they're from.
Okay.
So the majority of people in the United States, as members of MCUSA, want this to be a sport first with a medieval flair.
Okay.
A medieval flair.
But I don't.
A minimum of 40% of the entire international community wants that. Now, I don't know how much of the European community wants what. I absolutely know the French, which is fine. They can want what they want. They want it to be more historical. Right, which is fine. They want it to be more historical. People can want what they want. I don't have a problem with people wanting that.
For sure.
The community that I'm part of, the United States community, and to a somewhat lesser extent, the Canadian community, because let's face it, we're attached to the hip at the hip. Want it to be a sport first with a medieval flair, and our big events have more medieval.
You spoke for Canada. We're not the 51st state yet. All right, so we're gonna have our say, and
but you are our best friend. You are our best friend.
We are like your extremely large hat. We're your extremely large hat. But
even though there's been some strife lately, Canada and the United States pretty much roll deep together.
Well, okay, but there's a big difference there because we do not agree on authenticity and the level of reenactment. Because depending on where you come from in Canada, the reenactment angle is like a big reason that people get into it, right? Because
I understand that.
Like my club in particular. I mean, okay, although now the club has passed so many years. When the club when I became team captain many years ago, when I was team captain, right? At that time, the club had, after not too long in its past, transitioned from being a reenactment group into a Buhurt group. Right. So the thread of wanting to experience, what it was like to fight as a medieval knight is like it's a powerful thread where we come from. Right. Because
so here's the question.
The sword fighting and medieval community in Quebec in particular, in Ontario, is very strong. And there's like a big there's a big lifestyle element to it. So I wouldn't agree with you that we are necessarily.
Here's what I want you to do. We're gonna play a brain game here.
All right. I'm ready.
So forget all the people who don't actually fight regularly in Buhurt exist.
Well, I mean, okay, fair point.
Because I'm only talking about the people who fight in Buhurt. Because that's the community I'm in.
I feel like that's a bit of a fallacy. Because the people if you get into something. Right. And regardless of how deep in the competitive water you go, that doesn't mean that you weren't attracted by or are interested in a thing. And like, you were the one who brought up, like the different tiers of events. So it's like, if there are different tiers of events, there are different tiers of fighters and hobbyists as well. So it's like, I would definitely say that there's a group. There's a group of...
How many guys who don't fight regularly in Buhurt that you are aware of in Canada, go to Buhurt Classic events.
Oh, I mean,
That's the lowest level.
our pool is very small. You know,
Right.
like our pool is very, very
It's it,
small. Like on my team
it's basically 3 teams. Maybe 4 now. I think there's a 4.
In Canada, there's
Yeah.
like 2. There's Scalagrims, which is my team.
Well, Northblood Scalagrims.
Well,
There's Moncton.
Northblood doesn't. Oh yeah, there's Moncton. Yeah, there's Moncton. There's 3. There's
Moncton.
Moncton, and then there's the Company of the Blue Dragon in BC.
Right, and
there's a bunch
doesn't Land have one up in like he's
Okay.
trying to make one?
I don't know.
I think he's trying to make one.
Well, okay, he's been trying to make a team. He's been trying to make the Halifax Citadels for a while, and they exist, but they don't like do Buhurt international stuff, to my knowledge. They sometimes come to some of the events and stuff we do, but they're not like a big group, to my knowledge.
Right.
To my knowledge, Land represent. Send me a message. I know you're going to see this.
So I'm only
correct
talking
me, and I'll
about
issue a correction if necessary. But there's
people in
3 teams.
the Buhurt community.
3 teams.
Now the
Moncton Marauders, Scalagrim's Company of the Blue Dragon.
Okay, so of those members,
Can't
was
speak for them.
well, just in general.
Well,
From what I've talked with them, they seem to be more sport oriented.
I mean, everybody's
ones that
very
I've talked to,
sport.
like-
I'm
Right.
not debating how much everybody is into the sport part of it. I'm on board with that. What I'm saying is that one of the things that, at least where I'm coming from, where I originated from, one of the main interests was, you know, the medieval experience of it, and that could also be because Canada, more Eastern Canada than Western Canada, but Canada is quite European in its
Yes.
like, in its lifestyle and its politics,
Right.
and in just kind of how we are. Like our zeitgeist is European-esque, you know.
Yeah, you're. I understand.
Yeah,
That like
You know?
it's
so there's a certain like
culturally a
appreciation
little bit
there.
more European than the
Yeah.
United States is.
There's
And
like a little
bit,
more
probably
of
a lot
a
of it.
right. There's a little bit more of like a link there, and I know that aspect of when we travel is something that we all have extreme appreciation for. Like we all value the core memories of the trip, like as much as the fighting. You know, like those experiences traveling, going to museums, the pictures we take with like dope ass suits of armor, and like being like, yo, look at this bust of this general who lived like 400 years or 500 years ago, 600 years ago, greatest general ever, whatever, and you stand beside it, and you're like standing beside this thing that was made like almost hundreds of years ago to commemorate some dude who was like a beast at sword fighting. It's like having those kinds of, feeling like you're kind of, there's like a connection to that is kind of like a thrust for a lot of people, at least that I know. I'm not saying it's forever. I don't want to speak for people. You make a good point too, that the majority sportify the thing. That's what they want.
Right. So I kind of spoke out of turn. I didn't really mean to.
No, don't.
My people are my people. I don't care if you're Canadian or American. You're my people.
You're my
people.
You're my people too, buddy. You're my people too. Don't worry.
My peeps.
Yeah.
That's good Canadian over there. That's Christian from WWE.
My buddy guy.
My peeps.
My buddy
who was
guy.
He was the host of Night Fight. Anyway, I kind of forgot where we were.
I mean, we were talking.
We were arguing over Canada.
No. But we were talking about like what the people want. That was kind of like the main point that you had brought up. Is that what do the fighters? What do the people who do the sport want?
What do the people in the sport want? Do the majority of people in the sport want it sportified, or do they want it reenactmentified?
Hey, if you're still watching, comment down below. Tell us what you want. I'd love to hear, like, if I'm sure somebody's watching.
If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I don't think you're wrong, but I'm just curious.
I'm telling people in the comments, tell me I'm wrong. It has literally never happened before that I've been wrong about anything.
Somebody's literally just going to say you're wrong now.
I'm kidding. I've been wrong a lot. Just
ask
my wife.
But
ask my wife. I've been wrong a lot.
But yeah, I'd be really curious to know what the community thinks in general, like what they want. Because it's a great point to bring up that like most people are interested in it being a sport first. And see that brings me to a great question. That brings me to a great point. So it's like we want it to be a sport first. So like what is the sport? what is the sport? Because the sport, the origin of the sport, right, is it's a reenactment of a specific type of medieval foot tournament.
Right, the
right?
King Rene of Anjou.
Yeah, it's like it's a very specific thing that we are like the irony of the thing, right, is that the specific sport that we're doing is like such a precise hardcore reenactment of this one specific thing. Yeah, recreation, right? But it's a very but it's very precise. It's so niche. Out of like all of the things we could be like reenacting, recreating, redoing, you know, like you've seen old school. No, but you've seen those old school videos that Igor Parfentev used to post, right? Where they were like just doing like free range Buhurt in front of like castles and stuff.
Each other with giant logs.
Oh man, like the dudes who had like helmets with bevers, kettle helmets with bevers that had like no grills or attachments or whatever. Like they're the Wild West of the thing. But it's like the recreation that we do is
it was
so
90s
like,
MMA, man.
But it's so focused.
It was like MMA in the 90s.
But just like
just completely whatever you want to do, man. If you want to show up in chainmail, you show up in chainmail.
It's like I think it's so great. I think the format of Buhurt is so great, both historically and as a modern like combat sport. It's just like I find it so weird to be like, oh, we want to divorce the history from this thing that existed in a very specific slice of history, like a hyper specific slice of history is
I don't
what
think
we're.
we want to divorce the history from it.
Like, I don't want to divorce the
history from it.
But what's the sport? Like,
I just wanted to have the medieval flair. It's like, okay, then let's do the same thing with lacrosse. Lacrosse is a recreation of a Native American sport done like a very specific Native American.
Why are you trying to make this like? Why are you trying to take like a cultural angle? Because I'm Canadian. But like, what is it? What are these rhetorical techniques you're busting out tonight? Thinking I'm like not aware to like I'm not aware and like able to like detect your rhetoric. What is this that you're trying to like? What you think because you're a writer you're smarter than me?
Oh, I'm definitely not smarter than you. You are way smarter
don't
than
you see? Oh my god! All right, bro. Like, I read Cicero 2, man. Okay, don't you start with me. Okay, I'm ready. Just left and right, you're just busting out these like these moves to try to just sway the audience to your side slowly. Like what point are you trying to win? What are you trying to what's your angle, Josh?
I am not trying to win anything.
You're trying to sway.
I'm telling the audience right now.
I am the heel.
I'm the bad guy. I'm the one you should like.
Yeah, okay. You're on full display now. All right, you're swaying. That's what you're doing. You're trying to sway. I've caught you.
No, I'm not trying to sway.
He's swaying, Jerry. He's swaying. He's a swayer.
I'm just trying to make my points, brother.
What's going on, Jerry? He's a swayer. He's swaying. He's a swayer. That's you are, right? That's you right now.
I'm gonna start coughing. Sorry, I have asthma, so whenever I start laughing really hard, I start coughing.
It's all right. I'm getting over a cold too, and I'm smoking a fatty. But no, seriously. Yeah, what is the sport? Because like
it's hitting people with axes.
But like, what is that? But like, what is that?
Well,
like, because
take
without
the axe and you take the guy's head.
No. Because no. I get that. I get the hitting with axe. I love hitting with axe. I just got a new.
Fun.
We just got 2 new axes.
Oh, you're gonna hit
long axes. We're going full bonk. Back to the return to bonk.
Don't give it to Dom. Dom will kill
it's
something.
for me and Soleil. Soleil and I. Soleil and I are back to the bonk. But no, like without.
I didn't know about. I didn't need to know about what you guys are doing privately.
But if you divorce the history element of it, like what is the sport? Because the sport without that component to me is so ridiculous, right? Because in terms of a combat, like why are we using medieval stuff? Why are we doing the medieval at all when we could be like, you remember that TV show? What was it called? Like International Weapon Masters or whatever? Where they wore the suits.
Thing, Ultimate Weapon Master.
Yes, and they wore the suits, and like when you would get hit with the stick, you could be like two. You could be like katana guy. You could be like 2 dagger guy.
Oh,
you could be like,
dude.
but you had the suit.
European longsword guy beat the dog crap out of katana guy.
Right? But you had the suit, and when you get hit in the suit, it would be like, oh, you got hit this hard, it would like crack you would fracture your cranium or something. So that's like
He barely hit him.
kill shot.
No,
but you know, but like,
helmet.
but like, if we're not, but like, if we don't want to be medieval, like, why do we want to be medieval at all?
We do want to be
why?
medieval. We want to have a medieval flair.
But why?
Because medieval shit's cool.
Okay, so all right. We've gotten down to the kernel. We got to the kernel.
Cool.
No, but see, I'm so excited right now. I don't know why I'm so excited. I'm like half sweating. I don't know why. I'm amped.
Because we're having a very engaging and respectful conversation.
Yeah, no, but it's just because you know what it is. Because I thought it I know you did too. I thought about this for like a week because we were going to do this podcast like a week or 2 weeks ago, but I got sick.
I've been thinking, that's all I've been thinking about lately.
And it's like we couldn't, and our schedules didn't work out. So it's like I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm like, what are we doing if we're not because being so deep into the sport, right? Like, I've been doing this for a long time. You've been doing this for a long time. I'm a lifelong martial artist. You're a lifelong martial artist. Like, I like fighting. I started LARPing. Like, I love fighting. So it's like me, sword fighting is like normal to me in my brain now, right? But like when you divorce your own how normal it is to you, right? Like, if you're not into being medieval, like, what is the sport? Like I don't.
It's a crazy fight with guys in armor.
But like, what is that? Like, why would you want to be, if you're not into medieval stuff? Why are you doing the medieval thing? Because there's tons of fighting stuff. There's a million different fighting things.
I can't get into the mind of somebody who's not into medieval stuff because I've been into medieval stuff my entire life. I'm not exactly an expert on it, but it's cool.
But like, if it's but it's cool. I like to hit people. But yeah. But is it only cool? Because in the context of hitting people, is that the only thing that's interesting?
Oh, no,
is being like, yo, I'm dressed up like the shit? Or do you want to is it because you want to be like, yo, what was it like to be the dude? Because for me, it's less and less novel because I've done it for so long, but it's like, especially when I come back from an injury, I put my shit on and I get my helmet on and I have my gauntlets on and I go and I pick up my weapon. It's like I open and close my gauntlets like this. And I'm like, bro, I'm in the shit. And then you see the
Black
people,
Knight, you're fighting King Arthur.
And you see that you close the list, right? And you see the people across and they're all like crazy, angry Cylon robots with like angry weapons and stuff. And you're like, oh shit. Like, bro, this is what it was? This is what it was. You like travel across the world with all of your shit and all of your homies who set you up, and you get in there, and then it's like it's just you and these other dudes who did the same shit.
And you're trying to freaking murder each other.
And you're just trying to murder each other. You're just trying to murder each other.
You're trying to destroy each other. You're trying to defeat. So the way I see it is like
for glory, by the way, because back in the day you would run tourney. Tourney was like a source of income. It was it was entertainment for the masses and shit. It
was income,
but it was income. Like you go to tourney,
you win, you get a big prize.
Yeah, but like for us, it's just, the only prize. It's just glory, which I love. Right? Don't get me wrong.
So here's what the prize is for me.
Long-term injury.
Well, here's what the prize is for me. The prize for me. I'm a driven individual. I don't know if you've ever noticed this about me. I'm driven to do.
Had no idea.
And accomplish things.
I wouldn't
say
that at all.
When I stood across the list from another fighter and I knew that guy was good, I was seeing how good I was, and I got to know without a shadow of a doubt that throughout my Buhurt career, I was one of those guys that nobody wanted to be standing across the list from. That's what I got out.
Yeah, be a serial
MFer. I found out how hard of an MFer I am, and
pretty hard.
I found out what I'm capable of, and I tested myself to see how good I could be, and I found out I wasn't the best. I was the best for maybe one day. I had one day where I was amazing, but I was up there. I was good. I was a top 20 guy, and that's what I got out of it.
So, I mean, that's a great experience, and I'm really happy to know that you've had those experiences. That's awesome. But in terms of you mentioned like medieval flair, like where does what's the limit of the flair in your enjoyment of the sport? Like how much of your experience has been the enjoyment of the medieval stuff? You
I
know,
would
like
like to. I would like to see events that are like where that are kind of like experience you get when you go to like a medieval times, where you're in that area and everybody and all the people are up watching you. And they're looking down, and
what
the
I'm saying.
arena is made to look like an approximation of medievalist stuff, and they're
Okay.
eating their mutton chops.
All right.
But maybe the fans aren't all dressed up,
No, the
right?
fans don't have to be dressed up. I'm cool with the
Right.
fans. That's way no. Okay, we're on
Maybe
board.
the guys
But
who come when the list breaks, maybe the guys who come to fix the list are using power tools and wearing overall,
I'm fine with
right?
that. That
Right.
stuff I'm fine with because your support
But like
crew
the
is your
people
support
who are
crew.
like working the event, like your marshals, your list secretary, your knight marshal, uh, counters for duelists, that kind of thing. I do like it when they are in garb, right?
I
I
think
do like that, but I don't think support personnel like your team's coach. Okay, your team's coach should be wearing maybe a tabard with the team colors and like the team colors, right? But like if you have like somebody who's getting your guys water, I don't think they shouldn't have to be in,
I
right?
mean,
Like
I see. It's like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because there's a part of me that's like, yeah, because like whatever. But there's another part of me that's like, I don't know. Maybe that's something we should want as a community.
okay,
Maybe we should want. Like, I'm not. Okay,
should a
I'm not.
medic have to be in garb? Should the medic have to be in garb, or should they be wearing something that
That's
makes it
funny.
obvious
That's funny
that
because
they're
I've
the
gone to
medic?
many events. I've gone to many events where medics wear garb and they just have
And,
medic garb.
and I have too.
So
But
I'm
what if
not
the
against
medic
that.
doesn't? What if the medic doesn't have that garb?
Depends.
Are
It
you going to
depends.
kick the
No, but
medic
hold on.
out?
No, hold on. So you're making a good point, and we're talking about okay. So like, let's say you have your own. You're like your own medics as part of your setup. You can have them wear garb for sure. But if you have people coming from the outside, if you hire an
Yeah,
ambulance
like
for the day, you
okay,
can't.
you
We're in
hired
agreement
yeah.
that yeah okay. But nobody at any event have like I work at a Renaissance or a LARP event in Texas. I've attended many Renaissance and LARP events and many Buhurt tournaments. I've done SCA. I know people who do HEMA. I know people who do Viking. I know a ton, right? I don't think anybody ever anywhere is going to begrudge like police officers, firefighters, ambulance,
No, police
the
officers have to wear garb.
yeah tech support. Like all of those like service
Police
people.
officers have to wear.
Like
If
like
they want to come into
generally
the event, they got to put on garb.
like generally people don't begrudge like service people as part of
Not
like
police.
everyone except police. They have to wear like the
Yeah,
town.
they have to wear garb.
They have to wear guard. They have to be dressed like the guard, the
They have
town
to
guard,
dress like the town
the
constable.
town guard. But
Yeah.
I don't think
They-
anybody really begrudges those people because they value.
and we get to throw rotten fruit at them.
But they value the safety and service, the safety services that those people provide, and like the support services that those
Right,
people
like-
provide that require them to wear certain,
Or
uniforms.
the guy that comes to fix the list. Like if your list breaks,
Yeah, but
you
why
have-
can't? But on the other hand, okay. But then on the other hand, why can't the guy, even if he's using power tools, why can't the guy just wear a tunic?
maybe he
Why
didn't.
can't-
Maybe he didn't have a tunic.
Yeah, but then okay. But then why
He's
can't
wearing
the
overall, or maybe
but
the tunic covers up his
yeah, but
pockets
see,
and he
that's
has
no,
the
but that's a
tools in.
super weak. That's a super flimsy argument because that just goes the other way. Because if
So
it's
we
like
we throw a
why
tunic
can't
on
he?
him?
Yeah, because if it's a why can't he, then it's a why can't he not? Because it goes both ways on that.
No, I'm not talking. Like I said, I'm not
Like-
talking about your high level conference tournaments, and I'm also not talking about anything that like gets big and goes on TV. Right?
they all
I'm
go on
talking
TV.
about
But like all the big ones go on TV.
like TV. Like not
Okay,
us
okay.
broadcasting to YouTube. Like we get a
Okay, no,
TV
all right.
contract with
Okay, so
Hulu.
if you're gonna say, okay,
Right?
okay, if you're gonna say like it's gonna be a top level down, like a vertical integration kind of a thing, where if you're
Yes.
like it's like a fucking demo where you're like demoing your shit with your local club at like
You
a
can do
fucking
whatever you
park.
want.
You
Do
obvi-
whatever
okay,
you want.
cool. We're on board. But you're gonna but you're
There's-
gonna say
there's
you're gonna
three
say there's like a
levels.
but you're gonna say there's a sliding scale that like once you
Yeah,
get up
and,
to a
and there's a sliding scale by the rules too.
so okay, but so you're at world championships, right? Should
Dress
every team
Dress up.
have to be required to like you have
up.
your garb if you're around there? Like if we're going to fucking
Dress up.
where everybody dresses up.
It's the world championships. Dress up.
All right, so at least there. Okay, so I would agree. You know what? I agree to that. Because if we scale up and then there's a point where it's like, yo, you're like the best people in the world. Like why aren't you dressed up?
Dressed up.
Like, yeah, okay, cool. Then we're
Now,
in agreement. We agree.
So when I'm saying,
Podcast over.
you know, when I'm saying stuff like we don't need this, it's at the Buhurt Classic level because that's where most of the fighting happens.
But I'm
Almost
talking,
all the events
I'm talking
are
culture.
Buhurt
Though.
Classic.
I'm talking culture. I'm talking culture. I'm talking about what we put value in, what we valorize as a culture. I'm not necessarily saying what the rules require. And you know, I think that we've seen over the past decade or so the interplay between authenticity and between the player base, right? We see a lot of those discussions happen on Facebook because Facebook is the heart of Buhurt discussion.
Yeah, hive
right?
of scum and villainy.
Yeah, it is also a hive of scum and villainy. But we see a lot of that back and forth, that interplay. You know, we could take the Griffin helmet as a great example. #SaveGriffin, right? Remember that whole thing about
the bullet head helmets with the Ukrainians.
Correct.
Yeah.
With the
So,
drill holes in the ears and the extra sized breath
so
and the
here's
super
my
long
thing on,
chin and
on that. Those things look terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, looking like
But
shit
you
is
can't-
against the rules.
You can't tell me that at some point in history, somebody
I'm
made
on
a
board with that.
significant number of crappy looking helmets.
I'm very on board with that. But
Right,
they hate that.
That is
but they
that
hate,
is
but they
not
hate that.
something. They don't like anything that makes sense.
No, but it's because that creates an exception for everybody, where everybody's wearing their grandfather's armor that was passed down from 17 generations. And my grandfather traveled to the east, and he was given a samurai helmet by this one dude, and then survived the way back. And then on the way back, he met this dude who gave him like a hatanga. So his whole kit is like Western legs with a hatanga and like a samurai helmet.
There was a guy who
my grandfather
his historical samurai armor.
Yes, I know.
And
I remember that shit.
Shit looked like. That shit looked terrible.
No, it looked hella stick. It looked hella. What are you saying? It looked.
It did not look. It did not even look like armor.
Oh, but that's why it was so good, bro.
Right, it didn't even look like armor.
It looked sick.
That was like
wild.
It had been like thrown into a car wash, and then the car wash got crushed by a car crusher. Right? Like it was. Don't get me wrong. The guy's armor. The fact that he had that.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
And he Buhurtized it is crazy.
And he Buhurtized it, and he did a great job. So I'm not making fun of his armor, but it didn't look like the high-end suits of armor that some of these guys buy.
So
it didn't look anything like that. It didn't look anywhere near like that level. But it was actual real armor that was used by an actual samurai back in the day.
I know, dude. I thought it was the sickest kit I ever saw in my life.
It was absolutely mind-blowing.
I was blown away by that when I saw that shit in front of me. That was crazy.
Compared to that $15,000 suit that the one guy had in
but they're different technologies. They're different technologies.
Yeah, but compare the way that it looked.
What? But
compare
okay, but it's not. But it's
artistry.
Okay, but is it all about aesthetics now?
Now,
because if we're going to talk about aesthetics, hold on, I gotta defend homie's kit because guy was.
It was fucking dope. It was great. I loved it,
dude. I think he was looks maxing as hard as anybody could possibly. Absolutely, dude. What are you talking? It was actual shit. He used actual.
Right, it was actual shit. It was actual shit, and it didn't look like the stuff that gets produced now at the high end.
Oh well, okay. This is a great point. This dovetails. I think into our final. No, but this dovetails into our final umbrella in our secret.
Didn't look like what the high level reenactors of even samurai stuff.
This is awesome. This is awesome. We dovetailed so perfectly.
the functionality of it was completely different.
Okay,
It was
okay,
fully functional.
Okay. So, does optimization kill authenticity? Right?
I don't think it kills authenticity. I think if overdone, it could take away significantly from authenticity.
Well, because that's definitely the line that the authenticity group, council, AC,
Then why are they
whatever they
letting
are,
titanium in?
yeah, the authenticity committee, like, oh man,
Then why are they letting titanium?
titanium's. I mean, okay, but see
Doesn't look like steel.
Tangent. Yeah, but see the thing about
Doesn't look like steel.
But see the thing is that it's so hard to test. It's like the gauge. It's like the gauge thing because nobody's walking around with like shit to test people's kits. They're not like, all right, give me a random plate gauge inspection. You know, like it's that.
Yeah, but with the titanium, all they did is a magnet.
Look, my armor, my buddy Larry, shout out Larry, my buddy Larry Sonia, LS Armory, go check him out. He makes really sick shit. But my buddy Larry, he and I have this discussion all the time, and he's like, man, just drop titanium, everybody gets strong, and then you're gonna see a whole different sport. It's a whole different sport because now suddenly everybody's kits like weigh something meaningful.
Yeah, it's 30% heavier.
It's a big factor.
You add 15 pounds to every kit.
It's a big factor, you know, and that's something that we definitely take away from ourselves, right? We take away from that experience of being like of trying to get as close as proxy as we can to being like a real knight or a real man at arms, you know, by like cutting weight and finding ways to like further optimize and further sportify our gear. And as a side note, ironically, this so much ironies within ironies, but ironically, it's one of the most medieval things you can do because one of the things,
100%.
But one of the things that defined the medieval period, like when you compare it against a lot of other,
trying to make their armor better.
Well, was ingenuity, right? Because there are so many iterations and so many different versions of things being tested. Like there was never like a holy grail of design. You know, every culture, you know, every country, every period had their own optimizations. And it's like there are so many revisions of the same and improvements upon the same technology that in a way, especially at the competitive level, because you can look back at tournament armor and you see all the speed holes that they had to cut out materials so that they could have the minimum amount of protection while having the maximum amount of mobility. It's like that kind of trend towards optimizing and finding new scientific and material approaches to weapon and armor construction and ways to not necessarily subvert or supplant the rules, but to like sidestep certain constraints imposed by rule requirements on equipment, right, is one of the most medieval things you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to talk about ingenuity? Just the little arrow breaker that people would have on their breastplates there. It's freaking brilliant, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, no scientist came up with that. That was an engineer or a handyman.
It's just some dude who's like, man, people keep getting stabbed in the throat because I see they get stabbed in the chest and it bounces up like under the aventail past the gorge. Yeah. Because we all know
through the beard, you know. Yeah.
If you stabs are getting in there. They're finding their way in there.
They find a way. They're like life. Missiles. They find a way.
Life finds a way. But yeah, so does optimization kill authenticity? I mean, I think to a certain extent, like it has to.
I think if it's done badly.
Well, I mean,
if it's done poorly,
where does it end? That's really the question, Josh. Where does it end?
It ends when it stops having a medieval appearance.
I agree with that for sure. And I think that
now the argument becomes, what is a medieval appearance? Well, I know it when I see it.
Yeah, I mean,
I know when I see it.
Well, I mean, certainly
don't be an idiot.
Trending away from fantasy is like a big step in the right direction. So, like keeping people within certain
the shoulders that have the big things that come up here. Sword break. Yeah. Are those even historical at all?
I mean, not that big.
I've never they were short. They were like little, right?
Yeah.
Because like if those big sword breakers, if I lift my arms, I'm hitting myself in the head with my shoulder.
Yeah, but also imagine that you're like mounted. But also imagine that you're mounted, right? And that you're like striking down most of the time
Right,
because
I
you're
get
just
it.
murdering
I'm talking
filthy
about
peasants.
I'm talking about the big ones. The big
Yeah, but it's
ones
like
that
you're
you
never
switch
really
from.
doing this because you're just spending all of your time just like smashing peasants as you ride by on your horse and your sick ass. You know,
I don't know. Like this would be hitting me in the head. Like
you could also be Lance Guy. You could be Lance Guy, right? And then like you don't even have to like this. This is not even important. You're just cruising and you're just like passively just lancing people down.
This horse is gonna kill me.
Yeah, you know, it's like the horse is really just doing all the work there.
Yeah. And you
But
gotta point it and you gotta hold it up.
yeah, does this
Those things look
translate?
heavy.
Does this translate also to like the martial aspect of the sport? Because as we develop the martial art of Buhurt, it becomes increasingly modern, right? Like it isn't like we try but it isn't like we try to follow manuscripts. We don't do like HEMA style manuscript studies
I mean,
or try to reenact specific positions, even in pro fighting.
so there's only number of ways. There's only a certain number of things I can do to a human body with my body, and they've all already been discovered.
Because you have to free your mind. You have to free your mind.
I need the Karma Sutra.
Yeah, free your mind, man. Become more flexible. You know, really like reinvent yourself, and you'll discover
in a
new
fighting
ways.
environment.
No, but yeah, that's
fighting
true in a
environment.
fighting environment too, man. Because like
There's only so many
you know,
there's only so many things that
reinvent
actually
yourself,
work.
man.
There's only so many things that actually work. So like
I agree with that.
Osotogari. Everybody and their brother uses Osotogari. I'm really good at Osotogari. You're really good at Osotogari. All the top level fighters are really good at Osotogari. Osotogari comes from judo. But did you know that there is a Egyptian wrestling manuscript from 3000 BC that demonstrates an Osotogari?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought you were going to make the point that there are many medieval manuscripts that show, or like Renaissance period manuscripts that show
there is
those very similar types of takedowns, both in kit and outside
of kit. There is a mural, an ancient Egyptian mural. It is, I believe it's from somewhere between 2000 and 3000 BC. That is a wrestling instructional mural, and it has the outside leg reap, which is Osotogari, as one of the techniques.
That's sick.
So, is Osotogari a modern technique? No.
I mean, like no, definitely
a modern name.
Well, no, okay, definitely wrestling. Okay, and like various iterations of wrestling and different styles of wrestling. Wrestling, like the art of like picking a dude up and smashing him into the ground, right? Or conversely, picking up the whole planet and smashing someone with the whole planet, right?
So what was the first recorded wrestling contest?
I mean, I don't offhand. I don't know that.
It's the Olympics.
Some Olympics, yeah, that's what it was.
And,
some Olympics.
And it was the Olympics, and it actually wasn't wrestling; it was pancration.
Yeah, the Bass-Rutten special.
They split off pancration into boxing and wrestling later. The original was the combination of boxing and wrestling, which they called pancration.
Nice.
So everything that we know originated at least there.
Well, I mean,
which is all we're doing. It's all we're doing. We are doing pancration in armor.
Well, yes and no. We're doing a lot of things. Because I mean, styles are for sure a thing, and there's
pancration in armor.
but there's also skill development that happens over time, and like the moves that we use now are not the same moves they used then. But there's refinement.
I would say it makes logical sense that back in ancient Greece during the Olympics, there were multiple styles of pancration. It wasn't just like Thebes, Sparta, Athens, Corinth. They all probably had their own version or their own way of doing pancration.
Nice.
That was different. So styles have always existed as far as I know.
For sure.
So like say when I fought Buhurt, I was a grappler. Somebody else fights Buhurt, maybe they're a striker. But we're still using the same techniques, the same ways of striking, the same ways of grappling that have existed since before we had written history.
Well, I mean, I sort of half agree with that because there's a lot that has been developed in the past few years that's very sport specific. You know? So like if you look at something like the hump and bump, for example, the hump and bump doesn't exist if there's no list, right? So there's a certain amount of that I agree, and then there's
But
a
the
certain
hump and
amount that
bump is
becomes
it's just an Osotogari.
sure,
It's just an Osotogari when you're holding
sure,
on to something.
sure,
I'm 100% sure at some point in history, someone grabbed a hold of something to do an Osotogari.
yeah, but then everything is everything, and nothing is anything, and nothing is nothing. Anything
When
is
it
nothing.
comes to
That's what I meant
fighting,
to say. I mean,
everything has already been done.
yeah,
If somebody has,
to a
if
certain
there is
to a
one,
certain extent,
if
yeah.
there is ever a fighting technique done from today onward that has not been done before, I will send you a check for $50.
Okay, that's a bit absolutist, and I'm sure we could find something. Give me. The internet's a wild place. If I want to make $50 off you, well, we'll find something.
Now, here's the thing: is that it's unprovable because I can just say, "Oh, that was probably
Yeah,
done in history."
got to prove a negative.
Right? So I'm not actually risking anything here.
My man just fallacies and rhetoric for the last hour and 5 minutes, just nonstop, thinking I'm some kind of chump.
I haven't said any
Bruh.
fallacies. I've said some rhetoric. I haven't said any
Bro.
fallacies.
Bro, I'm sure if we scroll back, that I was like, I think that's a fallacy for XYZ reason.
Well, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is 100% correct. I can always be wrong. Like I could be wrong, but I don't think I've used any logical fallacies.
Now that's a fallacy. You could never be wrong.
I could never. Only if Ringo agrees with me. If Ringo agrees with me, we have actually on the things that we have agreed with. We have. I don't think we've ever been wrong when we've agreed.
So
I don't think it's ever happened.
So fundamentally, do you think that it comes down to like just a cultural difference? Like, is it just a thing where because like continentally we're divorced from geographically, we're divorced from that history, that it's just not something that will not that will pervade through our culture just because um it isn't something we feel tied to in the same way? Is that kind of the angle that you're coming from?
Yeah, kind of. Because let call fact to fact. There will always be a cultural difference between Europe and the United States.
Well, yeah.
Or there's cultural differences in Europe, and there's cultural differences just within the United States.
100%.
But the overarching culture of, say, Western Europe and the overall culture of the United States are different. And while they are based on the same thing, the base Western culture ideas of like service to your community, maintaining your stuff, giving the next generation a better life. All of that is very similar, but there's a lot of other stuff that's different. Like
the culture is different.
Yeah, right.
Place to place, of course. Both
place to place, based on the same general ideas and the same general morality, but diverging radically in some cases. And so there's always going to be issues of that, and there's always going to be things where just aren't understandable. Like for instance, why can't the United States have more conference level, or North America say have more than one conference level tournament? Or excuse me, it's not a conference, regional. So we can have, I think three. The North America can have 3 regional tournaments, right? One Canadian, one United States, and one Mexico. But if you take the land mass of North America and overlay it over Europe, which can have like, I think it was like 18 regional level tournaments, the land mass is way bigger. Europeans
you claiming
don't
injustice
understand.
right now? Claiming some kind of injustice right now? Is that what this is?
No. I'm saying the Europeans don't understand that the United States, that North America is that big.
What do you think European?
Right? They don't
like it's all people in Europe. Like what is it? Like what is it?
It's not all people, but a lot of people in Europe don't understand that. Just like in the United States, we don't understand certain things about Europe, like how easy it is to travel between countries in Europe.
Right.
It's very easy. You don't have to show a passport. If I try to go visit you, you got to go through a border checkpoint.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to grill, just like when you come to the United States, they grill you. Like, we have to answer a bunch of questions. Like, and the laws are so different. Like, I live in Virginia, and right now I can carry a gun when I go out. I don't have to hide it. I can carry it concealed. I can carry it open. But if I go to Maryland, I have to completely remove the ammunition. I have to store it in a different area than the firearm, right? And then when I get to Pennsylvania, their rules are different.
Right.
You know, so like travel seems to be easier in Europe. At least when I was in Germany, travel was certainly easier in Europe. Of course, I didn't have my gun, but so we don't understand like certain things about Europe, or even we don't understand like the cultural differences between, say, France and Germany, right? Which are very different cultures.
Right.
Like I understand that they're very different cultures, but I don't understand all of the differences. It's like they don't understand the cultural differences between where I live, Pennsylvania, and where you live. Or excuse me, I said Pennsylvania,
so
Virginia.
you think there's an element you think that there's an element of cultural appreciation that's just that's perhaps like
it does it
there's like no crossover that can happen.
There's cultural ignorance on both sides.
Right. Or a lack of cultural
Because we
appreciation
just don't know.
that can't be
A lack
bridged.
of cultural appreciation.
That can't be bridged easily.
Well, it could be bridged, but here's the problem. And I fall into this too, because I have this problem. We all think our country is the best, and our way to do things is the best.
I mean,
what Europe needs to understand is the Americans are right. I'm just joking.
Yeah, see how good I am? See how good I am? I hope anybody who's still listening, you see how good I am? It's like he's baiting me left and right, and I'm just like, I'm not biting on it.
Hey!
You know how much I want to, though?
I also say Canadians are right.
Yeah,
I also say Canadians are right.
I want to, but it's like, it's not the place, you know? It's like, look, we're
I love
beside
Canada.
the fire, and he's just
I love how you look at the Geneva Convention as a guideline.
It's just a suggestion.
A checklist.
It's just
a checklist.
You mean the Geneva suggestion?
We got it.
It's a suggestion. Yeah, it's a suggestion, bro. What are you talking about?
Hey, we need to really mess some people up here. Hey, Canada.
Look, okay. Look,
let's
not. Look. I'm not a representative of my country's horrible war crimey past, right? Although I will say, don't mess with us.
War crimes at the time.
I will just say, don't mess with us, right?
That's
all I'm going to say. Don't mess with Canada.
They're war crimes because of Canada.
All right, but so do you have any more? Do you have any more to say? I think that brings us to the end, as we're kind of rambling off into like incoherence at this point. Do you have anything else?
I've been incoherent the whole time.
Do you have anything else you want to add before we close? Do you have any final closing points?
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, I write books.
It's time to shameless plug. Let's go.
Shameless plug, yes. And I recently lost my day job, and so I decided to become a full-time writer.
Let's go.
And one of the things that full-time writers are doing these days is they are putting up advanced chapters of their books on Patreon. So I have started a Patreon. I don't have very many subscribers yet, but I would like if people could reach it by a link in our description.
Down below.
So can we down below? So if we could put a link down below.
There will be a link down below so we could pump Josh's book. Josh, what's your book series called?
So I have the Heart Scale Chronicles, which is my book series that is released on Amazon, and I also have two series that I've been releasing on Royal Road, which is a free not publisher, but a place where you can post your work and get people looking at it. My first one is about on Royal Road is about I actually have three on Royal Road. The first one didn't do so well. The second one did very well. It's called Off the Rails, and it's about giant castles on tracks that fight each other.
Sounds radical.
It's super awesome.
Sounds radical.
And the next one is
sick.
Yes. Oh man. Oh, I'm going to put that in.
Castle jousting.
Oh my god.
That's sick.
Mostly they've been fighting with cannons so far, but there's definitely going to be a joust now.
Make them joust.
And the next one is called War Troll. And it's about a guy who gets executed and wakes up in the body of a war troll. Which, if you've ever played Greyhawk, which is a D&D campaign, war trolls are awesome.
Sick.
So
Nice.
yeah, so I'll put we can put some links in there, in down below in the description, in the descriptus.
The descriptus.
This
The
is
codex of the
descriptus.
codex descriptus.
Librarius descriptus.
The librarius descriptus. All right.
And yeah, that's it. And I hope I didn't offend anybody today.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure
no,
I did, but it was all in good fun. I'm not being.
I'm sure they will curse your cow and your house many times over.
Well, I hope they don't curse my house. I live in a condo. That wouldn't go very well for the women who live under me.
Well, I think it was an interesting discussion. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of chatter back from the community. I'd love to hear what people think. What do you want from your Buhurt if you're still listening? Do you like the medieval aspect? Are you a medievalist? Are you in it just for the fighting? Do you not care that it's medieval? Do you want more medieval? I'd love to know. Josh would love to know. Make sure you check out Josh's book Patreon in the description. Thanks for checking out episode 3 of Not Another Buhurt podcast with Bear Blackspear and Josh Kearney. Make sure you check out my YouTube, youtube.com/Bear Blackspear, and Josh's YouTube, youtube.com/Ironhide Academy. If I don't, Ironhide Academy.
Ironhide Academy Medieval Combat.
Ironhide, there you go. Ironhide Academy Medieval Combat. Thanks a lot, and have a great evening. Peace out.